A girl, not a pet. The ship's alarm still echoed faintly, though the red signals on the scanner had finally disappeared into the void. Ethan had burned through fuel with sharp maneuvers, weaving between asteroids until the drones lost the trail. Now silence filled the cabin, heavy and tense. Ethan leaned back in the pilot's chair, his chest rising and falling with deep breaths. He turned toward the girl, Era, who sat curled in the corner seat. Her silver hair fell like a curtain across her glowing eyes. She hugged her knees tightly, as if trying to make herself small. He broke the silence. They were after you, weren't they? Era did not look up. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Yes, they always come. Why? Ethan pressed. Why are they hunting you? Who are they? Her lips trembled, but she shook her head. I can't say. If I tell you, they will find me faster. They always know when I speak too much. Ethan frowned. That made no sense, but the fear in her eyes was too real to ignore. He wanted answers, but he also saw that pushing her too hard might break her completely. He stood and walked toward the storage compartment. Pulling out a thermal blanket, he placed it gently around her shoulders. You're freezing. Era flinched at his kindness. Her hands clutched the blanket tightly. Her glowing eyes lifted slowly, confused. Why? She whispered. Why are you helping me? You don't even know me. Ethan shrugged, sitting across from her. Because you're not a pet, you're a person, and no one deserves to be treated like trash. Her lips parted slightly, as if she didn't believe the words. For a long time, she stayed silent. Then, in a trembling voice, she asked, what is it like, to be a person to you humans? Ethan blinked. What do you mean? I was told, people only have worth if they serve, she explained softly. If they can be useful, if they can obey, that is why I begged you to let me serve you. That is the only way I know to survive. Her words struck Ethan like a blade. He stared at her, his fists clenching. That's wrong, Era. A person doesn't need to prove they have value. You don't need to beg to exist. Era's eyes shimmered with tears. But my people, they abandoned me. They called me cursed, worthless, dangerous. If even my own kind threw me away, then what am I? Ethan leaned forward, his voice steady. You are alive, and that is enough. Era's breath caught. She looked at him as if seeing something impossible. A human speaking words no one had ever said to her. The moment hung heavy between them until the ship jolted. Ethan jumped to the console, checking the readings. The ship was running low on power after the chase. They would need to rest soon at a safe port. But the nearest station was risky. If the hunters had allies there, docking might expose them both. Ethan sighed. We'll hide out in a drift sector for now. It's quiet, nobody goes there. Era tilted her head. You risk yourself for me. Why? He glanced at her. Because someone has to, and right now, I'm all you've got. Era's eyes lowered, her voice trembling. Then, I will be useful. Please let me. I can clean your ship, fix what I can, cook if you need, anything. Ethan shook his head. You don't need to prove yourself to me, Era. But if you want to help, then help because you want to, not because you fear being thrown away. Her lips pressed together. She seemed to fight inside herself. Her entire life had been about survival through obedience. Now this human was telling her she could choose. The idea frightened her more than the hunters. Hours passed as the ship drifted silently. Ethan adjusted the damaged systems while Era watched him quietly. At last, she stood and moved closer. Show me, she whispered. Show you what? Ethan asked, confused. Teach me, she said, her glowing eyes steady for the first time. Teach me how to be a person. Ethan paused, then gave a small smile. All right, lesson 1. People share names. Mine's Ethan. Era, she replied softly, then repeated, almost like a vow, my name is Era. The sound of her voice, stronger this time, filled the cabin with something different. Not fear, not obedience, but the first spark of identity. But peace never lasted long. The scanner beeped faintly, warning of faint signals on the edge of range. Ethan's jaw tightened. The hunters were not gone. They were searching, circling like wolves in the dark. He looked at Era. If they find us again, I need to know what I'm fighting. Who are they? Her face went pale. She hesitated, trembling. Then she whispered, they are my people. and they will never stop. Ethan's stomach knotted. He realized the truth. He wasn't just protecting a lost girl. He was standing against an empire. And for the first time since he bought that pod, he understood. This wasn't a mistake purchase, this was destiny. Signs of danger. The ship drifted silently through the dark stretch of stars known as the drift sector. Here, old asteroids floated aimlessly, their surfaces cracked with age. A ghostly silence filled the void. No stations, no patrols, no traders. It was a graveyard of forgotten space. Ethan adjusted the navigation and powered down the ship's main lights, making them almost invisible in the dark. His eyes scanned the console, every sensor, every blinking light. The hunters might have lost them, but he wasn't sure for how long. Era sat in the corner seat, wrapped in the blanket he had given her. Her glowing eyes followed his every move. She seemed calmer now, but the fear never fully left her face. Finally, Ethan spoke. We're safe here for now, but not for long if they keep tracking us. Era's hands tightened on the blanket. They will find us. They always do. Ethan turned. How? How can they track you if you're with me, hidden this deep? She hesitated, her voice trembling. Because I carry their mark, a signal. It is in me, in my blood. Wherever I go, they can sense it, it calls to them. Ethan's stomach knotted. You mean you're broadcasting to them? She shook her head quickly. Not exactly. It is not like a beacon. It is deeper, more like a bond. They created me. They designed me. I am theirs by birth. My blood remembers them. Ethan frowned, the words chilling him. So as long as you're alive, they'll keep coming. Era nodded slowly, her eyes shimmering with despair. Yes, that is why I told you. You should have left me. Keeping me means danger will always follow you. Ethan leaned back, exhaling slowly. For a moment, he was silent. The weight of her words pressed heavily on him. She was right. Keeping her meant never-ending trouble. Yet when he looked at her, pale and fragile but still alive, he knew he couldn't abandon her. You're not cargo I can just throw out of the airlock, he said firmly. You're here now, and I'll deal with whatever comes. Her lips parted, surprise flashing across her face. Slowly, she whispered, You are strange, for a human. Ethan smirked faintly. I've heard that before. Hours passed, and the silence of the drift sector deepened. Ethan checked the scanners again. At first, there was nothing, only the steady hum of his ship. But then, just a flicker, a faint blip on the edge of range. His eyes narrowed, he tapped the console, bringing it into focus. The signal was small, faint, like a shadow, but it was moving, following them. Ethan cursed under his breath. They found us. Era gasped, her body trembling. She gripped the edge of the seat. It's too soon, I thought. I thought we had more time. The signal grew stronger, spreading into 2, then 3, multiple drones closing in from different angles. They were hunting carefully, not rushing, surrounding like wolves. Ethan's hands flew across the controls, preparing the ship for another run. Hold on, he said sharply. This might get rough. But before he could launch, something strange happened. Era's eyes widened, glowing brighter. She clutched her chest as if in pain. Symbols of light faintly shimmered across her skin, glowing patterns like living circuits. Ethan froze. What's happening to you? Era shook her head, gasping. It's the signal. The closer they come, the more my blood responds. It wants to call back, it wants to answer them. Her body trembled, the glowing symbols spreading down her arms. Ethan rushed to her side, grabbing her shoulders. Stay with me, Era, fight it. Her voice broke. I can't control it. My power. It only wakes when I'm in danger, or when they force it. That's why they want me, that's why they fear me. Ethan stared at the glowing marks, realization striking him. This girl wasn't just someone abandoned. She wasn't just hunted, she was dangerous. The scanners beeped louder. The drones were almost within firing range. Ethan had to act fast. He ran back to the controls, powering the ship. The engines roared, and the ship shot forward, weaving through drifting asteroids. Laser fire streaked past, drones firing from behind. The hull shook as blasts scraped the shields. Era pressed her hands against the floor, tears in her glowing eyes. If I lose control, I could destroy everything, even you. Ethan shouted over the alarms. Then don't lose control. Hold on to me. Do you trust me? She looked at him through the flickering lights, and for the first time, she nodded, yes. Ethan's ship dove between two massive asteroids, enemy drones crashing as they tried to follow. He fired back, hitting one and watching it explode into shards. But more kept coming. The hunters weren't giving up. Suddenly, Era cried out, her body arched, and the glowing symbols flared across her skin. The ship's console lit up with alien code, merging with the human systems. Ethan's eyes widened as controls shifted under his hands. The ship moved faster, sharper, more precise, as if guided by something beyond his skill. Era's power was flowing directly into the vessel. Ethan gritted his teeth, steering hard. All right then, let's show them we're not prey. With the combined force of his piloting and her strange code, the ship tore through the drones. Blasts of blue energy fired from cannons that had never been there before, ripping through enemy machines. Within minutes, the hunters were gone. Silent wreckage drifting in the void. The scanners cleared, and only the hum of the ship remained. Ethan turned to Era. She had collapsed back into her seat, weak and pale. The glowing symbols faded slowly from her skin. You saved us, he said softly. Her eyes flickered open, filled with fear. No. I doomed us. Now they know. They'll send more. They'll never stop. Ethan met her gaze, his voice steady. Then let them come. We'll be ready. But deep down, he knew the truth. This was only the beginning. The hunters arrive. The drift sector was quiet again, broken drones drifting like broken toys in the darkness. Ethan sat at the pilot's chair, hands still tight on the controls, his heart hammered in his chest. But his eyes never left the scanner. He knew victory over a few drones meant nothing. The real hunters would be coming soon. Behind him, Era lay slumped in her seat, pale and trembling. Her silver hair clung to her damp face. The strange glowing marks on her skin had finally faded. She looked fragile, too fragile for someone who had just destroyed machines with raw power. Ethan turned his chair toward her. You need rest. You nearly burned yourself out. Her eyes fluttered open, weak but still glowing faintly. Rest won't matter. They felt me. They know I'm alive now. They'll come with more. Ethan's jaw tightened. Then let them come, he said, though he knew his ship was barely holding together. The scanner beeped again. A faint ripple appeared on the edge of range. Growing larger, Ethan leaned forward, his stomach sinking. Dozens of signals appeared, then hundreds. Era sat up, her breath catching. No. It's the fleet. The hunters have arrived. Moments later, the void lit up. Warships burst out of hyperspace. Their dark hulls glowing with red lines like veins of fire. Cruisers, frigates, drones, all surrounding the drift sector like a steel cage. The comms buzzed, and a voice filled the cabin, cold and commanding. Human vessel, you carry property of the Empire. Surrender the traitor to us, and you will be spared. Resist, and you will be destroyed. Era's face went pale. She shook her head, whispering, It's the High Command. They won't stop. If you give me up, they'll let you live. Ethan stared at her, then at the fleet outside. His ship was outnumbered, outgunned. He should hand her over. It was the smart choice, the safe choice. But when he looked at her trembling form, her glowing eyes full of despair, the decision was already made. He pressed the comm button, his voice steady. If you want her, come and take her. The comm went silent. Then the fleet moved as one. Beams of red energy cut across the void, slamming into Ethan's shields. The ship shook violently, alarms screaming, sparks flew from the console. Hold on! Ethan shouted, steering hard. The small vessel darted between the blasts, weaving through fire. His cannons spat blue light, striking a fighter and tearing it apart. But more ships closed in, surrounding, trapping. Era clutched the armrests, terror in her eyes. We can't fight them all. We'll die. Ethan's jaw was tight, his voice sharp. Not if we fight together. Use your power, Era. We need it now. She shook her head, fear twisting her face. I can't control it. It comes when it wants. When danger forces it out. If I try, I might destroy everything, even you. Ethan spun the ship sharply, dodging another barrage. He shouted over the noise. Then trust me. Trust yourself. You're not a curse. You're not worthless. You're alive. Now fight for that life. Era's glowing eyes locked on his. Her lips trembled. For a heartbeat. Silence filled her. Then she closed her eyes, pressing her trembling hands to the floor. Light spread from her skin. Symbols glowed across the cabin, merging with the ship's controls. The vessel pulsed as if alive. The engines roared with new strength. Ethan felt it instantly. His controls responded faster, sharper. His ship moved like an extension of his body. Together, human and alien merged as one. All right, Ethan muttered, gripping the controls. Let's show them what we've got. The ship shot forward, weaving through enemy fire with impossible speed. Ethan's cannons fired with deadly precision, blasting drones and fighters into fire. Larger ships tried to close in, but the small vessel slipped between them like smoke. Still, the numbers were overwhelming. A cruiser's blast struck the hull. Throwing Ethan forward, he gritted his teeth, holding steady. Era cried out, her body shaking. Blood dripped from her hand, glowing as it hit the floor. The symbols flared brighter, and outside, the impossible happened. The wreckage of old drones in the drift sector stirred. Pieces of metal floated, glowing faintly. They began to move, reshaping, rebuilding, as if Era's power was calling them back to life. Ethan's eyes widened. You're waking the ruins again. The broken machines came alive, glowing blue, their cannons turning toward the Empire's fleet. The hunters froze in shock, but it was too late. The ruins fired, beams of energy slicing through warships. Cruisers exploded, frigates split apart. The void filled with fire and chaos. Ethan's ship darted through the storm, blasting targets while the ancient machines tore the fleet apart. Within minutes, the hunters were broken, survivors fleeing into the dark, their once perfect formation shattered. Silence returned, smoke and wreckage drifting in the void. Ethan exhaled slowly, lowering his hands from the controls. His ship was scarred, damaged, but alive. He turned to Era. She was slumped forward, pale and exhausted, her glowing eyes half closed, yet she still breathed, still alive. You did it, Ethan said softly. You saved us. Her voice was weak, trembling. No, I only delayed them. They'll come again, stronger. They always do. Ethan knelt beside her, steadying her trembling form. His voice was calm, strong. Then we'll face them, again and again. Because you're not their property, you're not a weapon, you're not a pet, you're Era. And as long as I breathe, no one takes you away. Her glowing eyes widened, tears slipping down her cheeks. Slowly, a faint smile touched her lips. Ethan, why? Why fight for me? He looked at her firmly. Because it's what humans do. We protect those who can't protect themselves. That's who we are. Outside, the ruins dimmed, falling silent once more. But far in the distance, new signals flickered. Bigger, stronger. The war was not over. It had only just begun. The humans' choice. The wreckage of the battle still drifted across the drift sector, burning faintly like dying stars. Ethan's small ship floated among the ruins, battered but alive. The scanners showed silence now, no new signals, but Ethan knew better. This peace would not last. He leaned back in his chair, exhausted. His arms ached from the fight. His ship's systems screamed with warnings. Behind him, Era lay slumped in her seat, pale and trembling, her glowing eyes half closed, her breath shallow. Ethan turned toward her, his voice softer than before. You need to rest, Era. You've pushed yourself too far. She looked at him weakly, her lips trembling. I told you. They won't stop. The Empire doesn't forgive. They will send more, and next time, even the ruins won't be enough. Ethan frowned. Then we'll find another way. Her eyes filled with tears. Why? Why fight for me? I'm nothing but a curse. If you give me to them, you'll be free. They promised you life if you hand me over. Ethan's jaw tightened. Free? Living like that wouldn't be freedom, Era. It would be slavery, and humans don't bow to empires. Era's breath caught. She stared at him, confusion in her glowing eyes. You would risk your life, your freedom, for me. Yes, Ethan said firmly. Because you're alive, because you're not theirs, because no one has the right to decide you're worthless. Era turned her face away, tears slipping down her cheeks. You don't understand, Ethan. I was made for them. My blood is theirs, My power is theirs. Without them, I am nothing. Ethan leaned closer, his voice hard as steel. That's where you're wrong. Your blood doesn't belong to them. It's yours. Your power doesn't make you their weapon. It makes you dangerous to their control. That's why they fear you. That's why they hunt you. The silence between them was heavy. Era's lips trembled. She wanted to believe him, but years of pain and rejection pressed against her heart. Before she could answer, the scanners blared. Red lights flashed across the console. Ethan's stomach sank as the readings filled the screen. A massive signal, larger than anything before. Ships, dozens of them, and at their center, an enormous flagship, bristling with weapons. Its size alone dwarfed everything else in the sector. Era's face went pale. No, it's the high flagship, the Emperor's personal fleet. If they are here, it means he wants me himself. Ethan gripped the controls. His ship was barely holding together. There was no chance of outrunning a fleet this size. And yet, he didn't feel fear, not the way Era did. Instead, a fire burned in his chest. The comms crackled, and a deep voice thundered through the cabin. Human pilot, you have defied the Empire long enough. Surrender the girl, and your death will be swift. Resist, and we will burn every world you've ever called home. Ethan's jaw clenched. He looked at Era, who shook her head desperately. Please, don't fight them. You'll die. They'll kill you. They'll kill everyone you ever cared about. He placed a hand on her trembling shoulder. His voice was calm, strong, unshakable. Then let them come. I'm not giving you up. Not now, not ever. Era's glowing eyes widened, her breath caught. But why? Why choose me over your own life? Ethan met her gaze without hesitation. Because I'm human, and humans don't sell out the innocent. We fight for those who can't fight for themselves. That's what makes us different from them. The words struck Era like lightning. She had been told her whole life she was worthless, dangerous, cursed, and now, a single human was telling her she was worth more than his own survival. The comms roared again. You dare defy the Emperor? Then you will die screaming. The fleet moved as one, weapons charged. The void lit up with fire. Ethan gripped the controls, pushing his small ship forward, straight toward the impossible. Era gasped. Ethan, you can't. Watch me. He cut her off. The flagship fired, beams of red energy slicing through the darkness. Ethan dodged desperately, his ship shaking violently. He fired back, his cannons striking fighters, but they were endless. Era's hands trembled as she pressed them against the console. Her body glowed faintly, symbols spreading again. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. If I give everything, if I pour out all my power, I might be able to stop them, but it will kill me. Ethan's heart pounded, his voice cracked with emotion. No, Era, you're not dying for me, not for them. Her voice shook, but there was fire in her eyes. Then let me die for myself, let me choose, for once in my life, let me choose who I am, not what they made me. The air between them trembled with the weight of her words. Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to protect her, to keep her alive, but he also knew she was right. This was her fight as much as his. Finally, he nodded, his voice breaking but steady. Then we choose together. Era closed her eyes, her entire body glowing like a star. The ship pulsed with alien light, merging fully with her blood codes. The engines roared with impossible power. Ethan gripped the controls, fire burning in his eyes. Let's show them what it means to fight humanity and hope combined. The small ship shot forward like lightning, straight toward the heart of the Empire's fleet. The truth of Era. The void blazed with fire as Ethan's small ship streaked through the storm of battle. Enemy warships closed in from every side, beams of red energy cutting across the darkness. The shield screamed, sparks burst from the console, but still Ethan held steady. Beside him, Era glowed like a star. Her silver hair floated in the strange light pouring from her skin. Symbols of alien code crawled across her arms and face. Her breath came sharp and uneven, but her eyes were wide open, locked in fierce focus. The ship pulsed with her power. Each movement was sharper, faster, more precise. It felt alive, as if the vessel itself had become part of them both. Yet Ethan's eyes kept flicking to her, worry burning in his chest. She was pushing herself too far. He could see it in the trembling of her hands, the pale cracks in her glowing skin. You're burning yourself out. he shouted over the alarms. Stop before it kills you. Era shook her head violently. I can't stop. If I let go, they'll overwhelm us. They'll take me. They'll use me, and the galaxy will burn. Her words struck Ethan harder than the enemy fire. What do you mean? Use you? What are you really, Era? For a moment, her face twisted with pain. She looked away, as though she couldn't bear his gaze. But then, perhaps because of the fire around them, perhaps because of his voice, she whispered the truth. I was never meant to be free. I was never meant to choose. I am not a child of my people. I am their creation. My father, the emperor, ordered it. He wanted a daughter who was also a weapon. They built me in secret, using blood and machine. My veins carry codes, the core of their entire empire. Ethan's grip on the controls tightened. You mean, your blood controls their machines? Era nodded weakly. Yes, every warship, every drone, every weapon they ever built answers to me. I am their living key, their lock, their command. I was supposed to inherit the throne and control it all. But when I was young, my power woke too early. I destroyed cities by accident. Whole armies bent to me without command. They saw me not as a daughter, not as a leader, but as a monster. Her voice broke, tears glowing on her cheeks. So they cast me out. They sealed me in that pod, sold me like a pet. They wanted me gone, erased, but they could never truly let me go. Because they need me, they fear me, and they want me back. That is why they hunt. That is why they will never stop. Ethan's stomach twisted. He stared at her. This fragile girl who saw herself as nothing, yet carried the heart of an empire in her blood. Era continued, her voice trembling. Do you see now? I was never meant to live, not as a person, not as myself. Either I am a weapon for them, or I am nothing. That is why I begged you. That is why I said I would serve you. If I must be owned, then better by you than by them. Her words cut deep. Ethan's hands shook on the controls, not from fear of the fleet, but from fury. Fury at the empire that had turned her into this, that had made her believe she was worthless without chains. He turned to her, his voice iron. No, Era. You are not their weapon. You are not their tool. And you are not mine either. You are alive, and that means you belong to no one, not them, not me. Her glowing eyes widened, shock breaking across her face. For a moment, she could not speak. Then a sob escaped her lips. Her body trembled, but not from weakness this time. From something she had never felt before. Hope. But the moment shattered as the flagship loomed ahead. Its cannons glowed, preparing to fire. Era's face paled. It's too strong, Ethan. Even with my power, we can't destroy it. It was built from me. It answers to me. If they link to it, they can turn it against us. Ethan's jaw set. Then we hit it first. The flagship fired, a beam of red fire tearing across the void. Ethan's ship dove hard, the blast scraping past, burning the edges of the hull. He gritted his teeth, pushing forward. Era, listen to me, he shouted. You are not their weapon. You are more than that. You say you can't control your power, but maybe that's because no one ever believed in you. Well, I believe in you, so fight, not as their creation, not as my servant, but as Era. Her breath caught, her glowing eyes locked onto him. In that instant, something inside her shifted. The fear, the chains, the lies her people had forced into her mind. They cracked. For the first time, she wanted to fight, not because she was forced, not because she was hunted, but because she chose. She pressed her hands to the console. Light exploded from her body, brighter than ever before. The ship roared with new power. The ruins around the drift sector stirred again. But not just ruins this time. Stars seemed to shiver, the void itself responding to her call. The flagship's cannons fired again. But Era raised her hands and the blast split apart. Scattering harmlessly, her voice rang out, strong and clear. I am not your weapon. I am not your curse. I am Era. Ethan smiled grimly, pulling the ship into a dive straight toward the heart of the Empire's fleet. Now that's more like it. The battle for her freedom, and perhaps the galaxies, had truly begun.